Welcome to the channel, Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Thanks for coming in. Proverbs 25:6. Do not exalt yourself in the presence of the king or somebody important, and do not stand in the place of great men. For it is better that he says to you, come up here, than that you should be demoted in the presence of the prince. There's some keys here as to people that are walking around in pride. And pride's not winning a championship or this kind of thing and getting the trophy. Pride is exalting yourself in a way in which you're not worthy of. Proverbs 8:3 says, the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. And I'm sure all people would hate evil, except Hamas at the moment in Israel. The Lord hates pride, arrogance, evil behavior, and perverse speech. He hates pride because pride works against us. Do not exalt yourself, do not pride yourself in the presence of the king or somebody important, someone important in your life, like your partner. You might be making yourself out to be bigger than what you are. This is what people do with an agenda. There's an agenda involved. You're trying to be something that you're not. You're trying to present yourself as something that you're not. And this can get you in a lot of trouble, particularly in a relationship, when the mask slips off and the person that you're with starts to go, hang on a sec, this person isn't the person that they're portraying themselves to be. And these people that are in pride, they'll put themselves in positions, they'll stand in the place that they don't deserve. Now these people are covert. These people can be coming into a relationship. They may not have the intention to build anything great. They haven't been or are not being honest. They're using now this person excuse me, as supply. They've got no intention of building anything great. It's not in their heart to do that. And a red flag is this person will be making themselves more important than what they are. That's always a sign that there's going to be trouble. When somebody makes themselves more important than what they are, and you get the signal of that, they're not humble, that person ultimately is going to bring trouble. It's just how it works. Because they're not in tune with themselves. They're deceiving themselves, trying to then deceive others around them. And in most cases, there's no need for this. You should never try and be something that you're not, to be accepted by people that wouldn't accept you if you weren't acting that way. People have a tendency to accept people for who they are and where they're at. But if you're in a group of people that have to accept you by the way you look, by the money that you have, maybe by the car that you have, or how good you are at sport, and you have to present yourself that way, well, maybe you're in the presence of the wrong people. Maybe you're going to be taken for granted when the mask slips off. We have a tendency in some cases to take opportunity of things that are presented to us or that come to us, but aren't necessarily things that we should pursue. And it's better that we wait. We stand back and wait. We don't pretend to be something that we're not. And if by way of who we really are, that person says, come up here, or let's have a relationship, or let's do something together, that's a completely different ballgame. Because sometimes we can dig a pit and fall into it and not be able to get our way out, when the real self needs to be shown, who we really are, and that person that we're with is depending on who we really are, and we haven't been that. We haven't been honest, we've been covert, we've hidden what really is going on in our mind, pretending that we might lose that person or we won't be accepted, when all along all that had to happen was for us to be honest, first with ourselves and then with everyone around us. You see, when somebody's not honest with you, there's issues inside them where they're not being honest with themselves. And that's a pretty poor state to be in, because you dig a pit for yourself and ultimately you fall in it. Or you roll a stone towards somebody. Remember the parable where the lady came to Jesus? She'd been set up. They blamed her for committing adultery and they were going to stone her to death. And Jesus said, "You without sin, cast the first stone." These are people who have a mindset, an erroneous mindset of judgment. They got people around them that are psyching them up to turn people against people that are close to them. These people all implode because it all comes back on them. When we're not honest, one way or another, it seems to just find a way of coming back on us. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, when things are all coming to a head, that's when the covert person is revealed. That's when the reason why things aren't getting resolved, the reason why there's tension and stress and unhappiness in the relationship, these pits and stones that these people dig and are throwing in the covert silent realm, right, within their minds, come back on them. You fall into the pit, down you go, and you get hit by stones or trip over your own stones. We should never praise ourselves. And we shouldn't talk ourselves up in front of anybody, because it makes us look insecure and unconfident. Let another praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips, because it's better to be lowly in spirit and among the humble than to divide the spoil with the proud. There's no point being in a situation, putting yourself in a situation where pride is going to lead you to destruction, no matter what you think you're getting out of it. You have to be honest, you have to be straight, and you have to be in places where you've been invited. A lot of people can indirectly force themselves on people, only to be unable to maintain the situation that they put themselves in. And then all of a sudden, by way of them being unable to characteristically hold the place that they're at, they begin to be demoted. They're self-demoting. They devalue themselves by overvaluing ourselves. We devalue ourselves by overvaluing ourselves. And this is deceptive, and it's harmful, and it's fantasy, because we put ourselves in a situation that was beyond us, that we were never really going to be able to maintain and sustain. And as I said before, covert people, one way or another, whether they're intending good or bad, the covert untransparency The fact that they just couldn't be transparent for one reason or another. I know ladies that have been in relationships with abusive people, and they've tried to resolve things time and time again, and they've been yelled at and screamed at. And when you meet these people and something comes up, they'll rehearse that again and say, oh, you get too angry, when you're sitting there and you're thinking, we haven't even had to resolve anything yet. But they've presupposed that it's going to be a drama because that's what they're used to. They've lived for many, many years in toxic relationships with people that are just going to put on performances when things need to change. And it's hard when you find yourself in this situation where somebody's come into your life and all of a sudden they're just unable to resolve or put to rest things that can be absolutely fixed. This brings stress on them, stress on you, and stress on the people around you. So transparency is important. Knowing your true identity and presenting yourself in that is important. One of the ways of doing that is avoiding alcohol, drugs, and other substances that are going to harm you. A lot of people love their medications. The doctors will hand out medications like lollies. Be careful of that. And learn to identify with yourself who you are. You'll feel worthy. You'll feel self-accepted. You'll feel confident. And the people around you will see that you are a humble, kind, loving person. It's better to be lowly in spirit among the humble than to divide the spoils with the proud. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. Thank you for coming in, and bye for now.